Hello everyone, welcome to the Psychology of Dating podcast. You're listening to me, Nadine Newkirk, and I'm both a clinical psychologist and a dating coach. For today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how to date in your midlife. So a listener in their 40s, emailed in and said that they're wanting an episode on what to do when you're dating in your 40s. And this is actually not the first time this question has come up, so I thought it was a great time to record this podcast episode. Before we jump into that, I'd like to remind you that I've got a free guide called Top 3 Mindset Shifts in Dating. If you are feeling stuck in dating, if you have the same repetitive negative thoughts looping in your head, this guide might help you just to give a bit of a fresh perspective, some different types of thoughts that you could introduce to your brain. Okay, so what are some things to consider when you're dating in your 40s, in your midlife? And the most common thought that comes up for people is that if I'm getting older, if I'm in my 40s, 50s, 70s, it's going to be so much harder, that all the good people are taken, that I'm getting older and my looks have gone, and there's less people, they're all married already. These are some really common thoughts that come up for people's brains. And the true answer is dating is very similar to when you're in your 20s or 30s or any other age. Which is great news because lots of the skills that I've talked about on this podcast, for example, Amber Gruberman, the dating coach, has talked about 5 elements in dating that applies in your 40s. There's also skills for assertiveness like the Dear Man script or fast skills. So if you want to get some new tools for your toolkit, look into some of those other podcasts. And I'll talk specifically today again about really trying to tease apart what is the actual circumstance, your dating circumstance at this moment, and what are the interpretations, the generalizations, the catastrophizing that your brain is doing. So, for example, you might have thoughts, I'm too old now, my skin looks awful, and someone won't want to date me, just someone younger. And, even if there are people available, there's a reason they're not available, that they are available because, I don't know, there's something wrong with them. So there's lots of thoughts going on here. But how many of these are facts? So it can be really helpful to write down what your brain is thinking about you and dating. And then with a second kind of read through is get a highlighter or a pen and notice any judgmental thoughts. So if I said I'm so old and I have awful skin, underlining awful, underlining so, and then rewriting it to a neutral statement, a factual statement. If you were going to submit this to a court for a scientific report, what would you write? You would write, I have skin. I am a female. I want to date. These are facts. Our brain loves to add all these other interpretations. And yes, some people will be available and single and some people won't. But when we state it factually, we don't get these heightened emotions that we have when we say everyone's taken, all the good people are duds. This isn't fact. This is things that our brain has made up. You can also try and get more flexibility in your brain by playing devil's advocate. This is where you argue with as much opinion and vigor as you would for the side that your brain is already taking. So if your brain is telling you all the reasons why dating in midlife is not going to be fun, it's going to be stressful and embarrassing or arduous, and your brain has this great imagination to think of all these catastrophic worst case scenarios, we're not trying to convince our brain it has to be sunny and rosy all the time. But sometimes if we play devil's advocate and just look to the other side, what if there's any other possibilities when I'm dating? It just opens up our mind to know there's possibilities. There might be hard times, there might be pleasant times, there's a mixture. So I might play devil's advocate and say, there could be plenty of people out there for me to date. It could be great to date in my 40s as people know what they want now, or people are more open and honest, or have more communication skills. Or if they don't, I know how to move on quicker. It could be really fun and exciting to go to new places or meet new people. Or maybe there's less people and that's okay because I want to take it slow. Dating is scary. Is there any other perspective that you could introduce to your brain? Another way you can help encourage yourself to start to go dating is to look around you, and our brain usually notices all the people who are already in a relationship or who are younger than us, and actually start to gather evidence for people in their midlife who just found a relationship. Can you find celebrities who've done that? Can you start to ask friends or notice on the street, like different couples? Start to gather data and let your brain realize this is actually possible. That people seek love in their 40s, just like any other age. So if you're using generalization to try and open up your mind, be more flexible, instead of trying to tell yourself, I'm going to date and meet someone and fall in love and it's all going to be great, you might not be able to believe that. But if you can generalize and say something more, just not specific to you, but to people in their 40s or in their midlife, you can say, some people in their midlife find love. It's possible for people in their 40s to date. Can your brain believe that? And if we start more general, you can practice that sentence and gradually bring it closer to you and more individual. You can also start to notice the language when your brain starts to go on the apps. Because as I said, lots of swiping on the apps, how we use it is all the same as if you're dating when you're younger. But maybe the dialogue that we say, like, oh, I'm too old for this, or this is embarrassing, I'm on the apps, this can be stopping us from being consistent or jumping on in the first place or taking risks and asking someone on a date. So it's really helpful to notice the mindset you have. If we're not looking at our mindset, this could be a major blockage. So how can we talk to ourselves as though we're a really encouraging friend, being your own cheerleader? It might be when you get on the apps, be like, yeah, you did it. Awesome. I know you didn't fill out all your profile, but you've got it started. Fantastic. I know it's scary to date and it can be so frustrating and, dates can be funny and painful, and it can also be exciting and joyful and loving, and that's part of it. It's a whole mixture of difficult and pleasurable. It's all in there. So can you start to notice your inner dialogue and just practice introducing some different sentences, some different kind of tones and ways that you speak to yourself? And if you're struggling on the apps, get some help. Here's the time to, ask your niece or your nephew to show how to swipe on the apps. Or it could be doing a bit of research, going onto Google. What are the top apps that I can use in my area for my midlife? Open the doors and give yourself options. So using apps, going to speed dating events, going to places where you can meet different people. All these skills, the good news, all these skills are the same. So if you look at my other podcast episodes on, top hacks for dating apps or how to meet people in person, they can all apply in your 40s, which is great news. The main barrier that I usually see for people in their midlife is their mindset and their thoughts and how their brain is kind of talking to them about dating and saying that it's too hard or it's not possible. But these are not facts. This is just some thoughts our brain has come up with to try and keep us safe. If we don't take risks, we might not get as hurt. But we need to take these big risks to ask people out, to be vulnerable, to find that person or those people and find love, whatever you're looking for. Okay, everyone, I hope you have a lovely day or night, and I'll speak with you all soon.